Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. It was a nice day today. Sun was shining. It was 40, maybe. But it was a nice day for a drive. So I decided to go down and check out the restore. They have a cart right next to the checkout where they put the tools that they're working on marking the prices on. So I always checked that first. Well, there was only one cart and it was mostly empty. They had one Firestone 1/4-inch drive speed wrench in it. Turns out the thing sells for about $22 on eBay. So I probably should have picked it up at $1. But, you know, things happen. I didn't really need a speed wrench, and I've never been a big fan of speed wrenches. I have impact wrenches and I don't get them because I'm not into selling things on eBay that often. Buying something to sell it just doesn't appeal to me. Sounds like making work. So anyways, I looked at that and then I thought, well, really not much here. So I went to walk back where the other tools were, knowing that they hadn't had anything come in, so there wasn't going to be anything back there. And I noticed something sitting next to the aisle. Now they usually have Craftsman radial arm saws in that area, big tools with crazy prices on them, you know, like $125 for a radial arm saw that you can pick up at a garage sale for 25 bucks because everybody's scared to death of them. But this little thing actually turned out to be something I was interested in. In the early days, Stanley made tools. And then they started buying companies that made tools. And pretty soon all they were doing was buying and selling companies. So the Yankee series screwdrivers were one of the tools that they bought. And somewhere along in there, they decided that the tools that they were buying and selling cost too much. They couldn't sell as many of them as they wanted. So they came out with this little Handyman series. And it has it stamped here on the handle. It's a Stanley made in USA, number H1214A. It's a Handyman hand drill, little egg beater drill. Well, they were all right. They're very cheaply made. Like this one has a die cast main gear, and it's only one speed, and the chuck works, but it's in pretty sad shape. They never put an oil hole in it. They just put a mark on it that said oil. The outer edge of the teeth is closed, so this gear can't work its way out through there. Now, there might be a way to get this out, this shaft out, which would allow me to move this gear. But the gear is actually free. It's this thing that's stuck. And since I can't see a way to get this off, that means I can't find a way to get that out of there without damaging it. Because you can see that it catches the end of the gear teeth very securely. And if I cut a notch in there, I'd have this spindle falling out of there all the time. So I'm going to try being generous with 50-50. And while I'm at it, I'm going to put some on the gear. See? Miracle stuff. My problem is, when the handle gets down here, any wear in the handle lets it right up off the gear. So really, you want to pull out on the drive handle all the time you're using it, which is going to make it a little awkward to use. But the Handyman is the the lowest priced Stanley you can get. Reflected in the price on the label. Nobody wants them. But taking something that's broken and making it work, that's how old Sneelock works. Now that chuck is packed full of something, looks like plaster. And the threads here are pretty goobered up. We'll try a little wire brush on it. Oh, the end thread has been hit. I would imagine to make it so that the chuck didn't roll off. Okay, we can work with that. .140 OD. .1 ID. .510 length. And the wire diameter is .30. There's 3 of them. The way this thing works, kind of fussy. You put 1, 2 springs in there. Then you put the other jaw on. Not as easy as it sounds. And you start the 3rd spring in. Well, I can see I'm going to have to get a... I sped up and muted this section. I fought this stinking thing for a good 20 minutes, trying to get those little springs in there, and it just was not successful. I finally ended up coming up with a different idea. By using one of the strong pickup magnets that I have, I was able to set the jaws on the end of the magnet and use that as an anchor point to put the springs on. Still wasn't easy. These springs are a lot stiffer than the older ones that I'd worked with, and they just did not want to stay in. Well, that seemed to work better than anything I've tried. Yep.
Okay. I thought I couldn't remember if I did it.
Yep, I fed her.
I think I did yesterday, but
I fed her and then I took her out and then I fed her some dog bones.
okay.
Seems to work pretty well. Part of the reason I felt so good today, I got a little man that stood up on his own 2 feet yesterday. He had to grab a hold of Mom's leg to get help up, but he was standing. 6-month-old. Gonna be walking soon. Spent the morning figuring out how to open up the cabinet in the kitchen and get out the pie pans. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, it's gonna be a cymbals player. I thought, you know, really should be working on a Sneelock Junior's toolbox. I came across this. Just right for a young man to learn how to do things with. Works, be good enough to do everything that he needs to do, but it's not so fussy that if he drops it in the sand, it'll be ruined. About 70 years ago, well, about 65 years ago, there was a young man who was given an electric train set. It was an expensive thing. Grandparent gift. Yeah, one of those. And he was found pushing the engine through the sandbox. Didn't work well after that. Having a toolbox for a young man is always a good idea. And if you can have it something that he can use, and even if he damages it, you're not out a whole lot. Makes it so that he's not going to have bad memories of the toolbox. Whatever he does with it, it's fine by me. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. Needs a little wax.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the US or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.